Unfortunately for us, our economy is going down the crapper and everybody is feeling the squeeze right now. Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Becca if you're new here. If not, hello again. Hi, how are you? But today I'm going to be talking about 50 frugal habits that all of us should and can be doing. It was actually kind of scary to me how quickly I came up with this list of 50 different things because I am just a naturally frugal person. I always have been. I've always been interested in finances, and not even in the sense like I want to own millions and be like super duper wealthy with fancy cars. It's just like I want to have financial security and I want to always have the safety net of having enough money in my bank account. That's all that I'm in it for. I remember as a child saving up my first $100 and my grandparents took me to the bank and I walked out with a fresh, crisp, new $100 bill, and I thought that that was the coolest thing in the entire world. And that's just me. Like, I've always been really interested in saving up and just building wealth, I guess. So number one on this list is tracking your spending. I cannot recommend this enough. I used to be so scared of our finances until we actually laid out every single dollar and where it was going. And then I actually realized that we had so much money left over every single month. And I was able to start budgeting certain amounts of money for all these different little things, like going to the thrift store. I used to go and be like, oh, I can only spend like $3 because I was so scared of spending money. And it's just so important to be held accountable to where all of your money is going, because we as humans have this tendency to justify microtransactions, and as soon as you justify it, it's gone. For some reason, we like to forget that it exists. It really does come out of our bank accounts, but we don't think so. So I cannot recommend it enough. It is so important to be able to visualize and see where all of your money is going. It is the number one tip that I have. Going along with that is budgeting. So if you are on the opposite side of me, which I know a lot of people are, and you have a problem with like impulse buying and not having as much money in the bank account as you wish, budgeting is your friend. Having a physical set number of, okay, this is how much I'm spending this month on this item is so helpful. I really do. I'm planning on doing a whole separate video on just budgeting because it's a whole big topic and I feel very strongly about it. But this is how you save up for things. You need to be budgeting for investments. You need to be budgeting for savings. You need to, yeah, okay. Anyways, next tip that I have is spacing out your grocery trips, because impulse buying when you go for little micro shops is so damaging, especially if you have the audacity to go shopping while you're hungry. Big mistake. If you're really trying to be frugal and cut down costs, then you really should just space out your grocery trips. It also allows for you to shop your pantry, because most of us have so much food in our pantries that just sits there a lot of the times. But if you space out your trips, you're going to run out of a lot of your foods towards the end of those 2 weeks or whatever. And so then you have to get creative and you use what you already have. And in doing so, that actually helps to save a ton of money. I personally love coming up with really wonky meals with whatever we have on hand. It feels like I'm in like a Chopped episode and I love it. Organizing your fridge is a game changer, because especially in America, we have these big fridges and we forget what's in them because everything gets pushed to the back of it and then it just goes to die a quiet and lonely and sad death. So every time I go grocery shopping, I take that time to organize my fridge then. I will take out anything that needs to be used up really soon and I put it right at the front of the fridge. Everything that I know will last longer and that I'll be using more towards the end of the 2 weeks, I will place at the back of the fridge. And so then when it's jam-packed, everything that needs to be used up fast, like your cucumbers and your raspberries and stuff like that, is going to be visible. So every time you open your fridge, you're like, oh, I need to eat that soon before it goes bad. After a week goes by, you've eaten up a lot of the stuff that needs to go quicker, and then you're left with an emptier fridge. You can see what's in the back. You can't make a frugal video without talking about making your own food. So there's actually a few points about this. Making your own food is so important. I don't know how else to say it. It is so very important. It is one of the biggest things to save money, because eating out is, first of all, it's so unhealthy for you, but second, it is so expensive. Especially nowadays, the restaurants are feeling the squeeze of the environment, the squeeze of the economics right now too. And so they have to charge such high prices to be able to stay in business. And it's just unfortunate all around, but like we cannot afford to go out and eat out very often. We don't do fast food anymore. Like never, never, never. First of all, I don't even think it tastes good anymore. And second, it makes me feel gross and it's just too expensive. Back in the day when you could get like 4 things for $4, yes, I could be tempted. But now when it's like $20 for one person to go and eat, no thank you. The next one can be a little contentious for some people, but eating less meat. And I'm not saying eat no meat. Do it if you are vegetarian or vegan and it's great all around, but just eating less meat in general. Just have a couple to 2 to 3 times a week where you are eating less to no meat, and it will save you so much money because meat is expensive. There's no way around that. When we buy meat, it tends to be the bigger portions of it, and so then I will roast it up and we will use that into like 3 different meals. But we also eat a ton of tofu, a ton of beans, and just a lot of grains and legumes and all of the whole foods because it's just so much cheaper. Next, I learned this when we were living in New Zealand, but eating seasonally is so amazing for so many reasons. It's better for the environment, it's better for our bodies, it tastes better. Like all these different benefits come from eating seasonally. I have found, and this was for me personally too, Western culture doesn't always know what is in season, but I've kind of really taken the time to figure out what is in what season, and I will try really hard to avoid, or you buy things canned or frozen during the off seasons to offset the super high price and the lack of flavor. Like you will never catch me buying a watermelon in any other season except summer, because in summer they are incredible. It's my favorite food. Any other time it is flavorless and hard and disgusting. So not only does it taste better, it has more nutrition in it, it is also going to save you so much money. This is another big one that our family personally does. It's making our own bread. We make sourdough pretty much everything, and we never ever buy bread just because we have fun doing it. We really like playing with sourdough. It has more nutrition to it, it's more bioavailable, and it just has all these benefits. Like we have the time to make it. I know not everybody has the time and has the enjoyment, but for us personally, it is great. And also it makes me laugh going to farmers markets and seeing loaves sold for like $12 because it takes, I don't know, less than one to make it yourself, but it is delicious. I'm not gonna argue with you on that one. Another big one is to eat your leftovers and avoid food waste. So again, this goes along with the organizing your fridge. You just want to avoid food waste because that is you actually throwing your money into the garbage can or hopefully the compost bin. Eating your leftovers is incredible. It helps you to not have to cook again, so you're not having to use more resources and more gas or electricity or whatever. I think it's delicious, and I love not having to waste more time cooking more food. I have food available, I just have to microwave it. Making your own snacks and desserts. Love this one. I love baking with my toddlers. I think it's a really fun activity, and so we are kind of constantly always making something. But buying snacks from the grocery store is so pricey, and I can't do it, especially because everything that they sell in those little boxes that are so expensive, I can easily make like double that amount for a quarter of the price. It's just as delicious, it lasts longer, and usually it's a little bit healthier. It's little things like this that feels like it's a win-win-win that I want to shout from the rooftops and convert everybody to doing it. I do recognize that, again, a big part of not being able to be frugal is not having the time availability. And if that's you, there's no way around it. You need to buy the convenience, and I understand that. No judgment. Making your own drinks. So again, like we never ever buy any kind of like soda or anything like that. Occasionally we will buy a box of seltzer water, usually off brand, and that just feels like such a fancy little treat. But one of our favorite things to do is just to drink tea. We have little tea parties. We have lots of herbal teas that the kids like to drink, and us too. We don't ever buy any kind of like juices or juice boxes or anything like that. It's just we drink water, the occasional seltzer water, and coffee and tea. Going along with that, the next one is to maybe invest in a nicer coffee machine so then you can have really good coffee at home. We so rarely buy coffee out. If we do, it's just for the social aspect. We never are out and about and are like, oh man, I really need to go get a coffee because it tastes really good. I don't know. We've gotten to the point where we make and like our coffee so much. We have, I don't know if you can see it right here. We have an espresso machine, and yes, it was pricey, but we have saved so much money by not going out and getting like Starbucks and all these different coffees out all the time. I can't even tell you the amount of times we've been out and about and we're just like, oh, we could get a coffee, but then we're like, oh, but we could go home and make an even better one. Okay, moving away from the food-based ones, I told you there were a lot of things involved with food. It's looking up coupons, and I do this anytime I try to buy anything online. It just takes a very quick Google search, and oftentimes, well, not often, but sometimes you do luck out and you can find something. I'm not personally a huge couponer. I'm not in that world. I know some people are experts at it, if you want to go find some people that are, but like we have little coupon books that we have on hand for specific things like cleaning, and it's just making sure that you have those in a place that you can see them, so when you need to go and buy that thing, you remember that it exists. I love this one but I know a lot of people struggle with it, is waiting before you buy something. I say for a minimum of 2 weeks. I like to say for 1 month. You can even like write it down on your phone or on an actual physical piece of paper and say, what item you want and then put a date next to it, and then like when your date time is up. So if you are only able to wait for 2 weeks, go ahead and write that date down. And then after the 2 weeks, you can come back to it. And if you really have been still really wanting that item, if you've thought about it a lot, if you really think it will improve your happiness or the functionality of your life, then go for it and purchase it, because that means it's worth it. But a lot of the times when you do go back to that item, you realize you haven't thought about it that much and you don't actually even care about it anymore. And that is how you save so much money. It's one of the biggest secrets, because this is what Amazon expects. This is how they have had such a successful business. It's having people impulse, the promise of next day delivery or even same day delivery. The fact that you can go on and click a button and then have something show up at your house, it is addicting and it's a problem. We actually do not have Amazon Prime, because another little secret is that a lot of times you can still get free shipping on things. It's slower, you won't get it the next day, but you can still get mostly everything on there and you don't have to be paying for the Prime membership. Next is reusable options are usually better for the environment and they end up paying for themselves. So there are some things that just make sense. We have stasher bags that I really like, instead of buying Ziploc bags and like using them single use. For the most part, we don't really use paper towels, we just use rags a lot of the time. We don't have paper or plastic plates. We don't like hardly ever use those kinds of things. Just buying the real physical item and then reusing it so many times, it does end up paying for itself. So really, any kind of single use item, just avoid it. Okay, this is a big one for me, but look at the reviews before you buy something. I have like shopping paralysis. It's kind of a problem. I will want something, I will wait a certain amount of time thinking about it, and then I'm finally like, you know what, I really do want this item. I spend 3 days doing research on all of the brands, on what model to get, all the different options. After 3 days of researching, I will go to buy it, and then I make that's not a mistake, I'm recommending it, but go and look at the reviews, because 9 times out of 10 I will find a few bad reviews on it, and those 3 reviews throw all 3 days of research down the drain for me. I'm like, oh, now I can't get it. So I save a lot of money that way. Another tricky thing that you kind of have to look out for is, I know Amazon is really bad about this, but they will have fake reviews on things, because all of the good reviews help people to buy it. So they've figured out that if they seed it with a bunch of positive reviews, it makes their item sell a lot more. Go with a less popular brand. Just because it's on Instagram does not mean it's the best version of the item out there. That just means it's the most popular. A lot of times you can get a better version of the product, it's a different brand and it's less popular, but it also saves you money. This is a really big mindset thing, but get creative with what you already have. So if you need to fix something in the house, or you need something to improve something, that was a lot of somethings, look around at what you already have in your house. Chances are you have something that can fill that niche need. Let's say you need something to organize a little closet or something. You probably have enough bins floating around your house, or even little like cardboard boxes you can cut out and use. Like, just get creative, get crafty. It's reusing, it's reducing, and it saves you a ton of money. Next is the borrow and lend mindset. You will never catch me going out and buying like a really fancy dress for a one-time event. I will go out of my way to ask friends for one of their fancy dresses, because I'm going to use it once. Chances are they wore it once and they won't be needing it very soon. And people are so happy to lend their stuff out to others. I know I am, because we love when things are getting used. Next, mend and repair things that still have life to them. We are such a throwaway culture. Again, going back to that single use thing, we tend to just throw things away if they have a little hole in them or a little stain. A lot of us don't have the skill to be able to patch those things up, or to figure out a crafty way to cover up those stains or get the stain out. Like, there's a lot of options that you can do. Part of the problem is that the item actually isn't even worth saving to begin with. So if you have like a shirt from Shein that's made out of plastic, if you get a hole or a stain in it, it was kind of garbage to begin with, but taking the time to repair things and making things last longer means that you're not going out and buying more any sooner, and therefore you are saving so much money in the long run. This is another thing I learned in New Zealand. We didn't have a dryer in our house, and it was quite common, especially in the older homes over there. I hated it. Well, I loved it in the summer, because if it's a nice day, your clothes dry so well. It actually helps to make your clothes whiter. It makes them less odorful. That's not even a word, but it's a really great way to save a lot of money on energy bills. So if you are having a nice weather day, throw your clothes out and see what happens, because it is amazing. I just hated it in the winter when it was super rainy and the clothes wouldn't dry very well. Going along with that, it's just trying to reduce your energy bills across the board, your gas, your electric, just being mindful. So turning off the lights when you're not in the rooms, or trying to bake like 2 things in the oven at once so you're not using the oven twice. Next up is cutting your own hair. I cannot recommend this enough. I have been cutting my husband's hair since the day that we got married. Cut William's hair since the day he was born. He didn't need a haircut for a while, but I will be cutting her hair as soon as she's old enough and needs a haircut. It's just a quick YouTube video. You figure it out. There's a few bad haircuts, but it's okay because hair grows back, and then you figure it out. I cut my own hair, or I will have one of my sister-in-laws cut it for me. This is one a lot of people aren't going to agree with, but don't buy makeup. I don't buy makeup. I don't really believe in it. I don't like the idea that you can only feel beautiful with makeup on. I don't like hearing the stories about how they're finding out that it's actually toxic. I don't know. I don't agree with like putting tons and tons and tons of things on your face. The only thing I will do is I put a little bit of cocoa powder in my eyebrows if I want to try to make them a little more poppy. 25, we are on preventative maintenance. It is so important to figure out how to upkeep all of your appliances. And this goes for everything, including your car, your oven, your dishwasher, your laundry machines, even things like your bathtub and your sinks. Understanding what problems usually arise from those and then being able to prevent them. Because what is that saying? An ounce of prevention is a pound of cure. Like having to call in an expert to come and fix this full-blown problem. And like a lot of times the problem just causes so much more problems. Like if your sink gets clogged, then you're going to have flooding issues, or if your oven like there's just so much more involved with fixing the actual problem than just doing those little tiny maintenance things over time. Okay, this video is actually getting too long and I need to take care of this one. So I am going to break this up into 225 frugal habits. Don't get angry with me because I still have a lot more and they're all still very helpful. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!